Okay, here is a short video on adding and subtracting integers using integer chips. So if we assign +1 with the black circle and -1 with the red circle, these are what we call zero pairs because 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. And you can add 0 to a number and it not change the value. You can subtract 0 from a number and it not change the value. So anything that we need to add 0 to or subtract 0 from, we can take away or add these integer chips to a black and a red together and it not change the value of our number. So let's start with an example here. If we just start with something simple like a +1 plus the +1, we would have our integer chips as 1 black plus 1 black would give us the 2 blacks. So that gives us +2. Now, if we move to the negative numbers, we have +1 plus -1. Well, we just saw that 1 minus 1 equals 0. Remember, these are our zero pairs. They cancel each other out. Here we have +2. And now I want to take away +3. Subtract. I want to subtract +3. But you'll notice I don't have 3 positives to take away. So this is where we come in by adding a zero pair. So I'm going to add in a zero pair of integer chips here. This is what I meant by we can add 0 to the value and it not change its value. But now I can take away 3 positives. And what am I left with? I'm left with 1 negative integer chip. So that would be -1. So +2 minus +3 is equal to -1. For this next example here, we start with +2, so that's 2 positive integer chips. I want to take away, because I'm subtracting, -1. I want to take away a negative integer chip, but I don't have any negative integer chips. So this is where I'm going to add in a zero pair. Now you see I have a -1 that I can take away. So if I take that one away, I'm left with +3. Now, if we go back to our integer rules, minus a negative number makes a positive. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. So you can kind of see where that rule plays in when we use those integer chips. Now, remember, our zero pairs are a +1 and a -1. And that equals 0. So we can take those away or we can add those to the number. So now I'm going to start with negative values. So I'm going to start with -2. And now I want to add a +3. Well, now I've kind of got a lot of integer chips here, so I don't really know what I need. But if I can take away some zero pairs, 1 minus 1 is 0, 1 minus 1 is 0, and see what I'm left with? I'm left with +1. Another way that you could look at rearranging these numbers here, +3 minus 2. 3 minus 2 is +1. Here, if I start with -1, and I want to add -2, I now have 3 total negative integer chips. So negative 1 plus negative 2 would be negative 3. I start here with negative 2, and I want to take away positive 1, but I don't have any positive integer chips here to take away, so I'm going to add in a 0 pair. Now I can take away a positive 1 integer chip, and you'll notice here that I'm left with negative 3. If you think about when we talked about the number lines coming down, if I was 2 feet below the water level and I went down another foot, that put me 3 feet below the water level. So you can kind of see how these numbers are making sense. Last one, negative 2 are 2 negative integer chips, but I want to take away 3 negative integer chips. I need to add in a 0 pair. Now I can take away 3 negative integer chips. And in doing that, I'm left with 1 positive integer chips. So negative 2 minus negative 3 would be positive 1. If we go back to our rules here, minus a negative is a positive. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. If you were to rearrange these numbers again, positive 3 minus 2. Positive 3 minus 2 is positive 1. So you can kind of see how these numbers would make numerical sense. All right, that concludes this video. I hope that it was helpful.